think of it as Shakespeare. Think of it as being in the Globe Theatre. So it's a morality play written by a lama as a way of making manifest in a public way all the kind of forces of existence. And those masks, which represent particular beings, particular deities, they are also, in a sense, metaphorical. They represent, it's almost like a pageant of all the forces of samsara and all the forces of divinity with which one will engage in your own dance of life.
Symbols of good clash with demons, the positive with the negative. Every dance is a Buddhist teaching. Long before the dances began, monks were behind the scenes at Shiwang performing puja, a concentrated series of rituals. The monks focus all of their spiritual intuition and practice into the making and empowering of sacred mani pills that allow you, literally, to eat the power of the Dharma.
It's like all ritual. What is ritual attempting to do in any spiritual tradition? Ritual attempts to quiet the moment, to focus the mind, to bring one into the presence of the spirit, the presence of God. I mean, this is the whole point of any ritual tradition.
A gentle mob jostles to get near Tulsig Rinpoche to receive his blessing, pills of compassion. Much of this feels familiar to a Westerner. A blessing from a priest, the offering of the host, absolution from sin. But here there is no sin. There is only the repeated reminder that ignorance, which stands in the way of wisdom and happiness, can be overcome by the clear path of the Dharma.
You know, in a sense, Buddhism is neither philosophy nor religion. It's strictly a path of wisdom. And in fact, serenity itself, the serenity that you see in an enlightened being like a Tulsig Rinpoche, is the empirical evidence of the success of the science of the mind that is Buddhism.
But what do I do next? The pageantry of the Mani Rimdu must give way to the spacious silence of the Himalayas. Sherab and Mathieu are going into the mountains with me as we bid Tulsig Rinpoche farewell. Our journey will follow high mountain paths through Solukhumbu to the flank of Everest and the home of a simple nun who will show us Buddhism stripped to its essence. The most basic lesson in science class is to have a hypothesis before you conduct an experiment. Then you record your observations and draw your conclusions. With their science of the mind, the early Buddhists observed that through contemplative practice, they achieved happiness and wisdom. they drew the conclusion that the Dharma worked. 2,500 years later, Western scientists wired up the heads of Buddhist monks, including Mathieu Ricard, to see what happened inside the brain of an experienced meditator. Amazingly enough, the very structure of the brain changed. Western science revealed that the Dharma could literally transform the human being. For the monks, the experiments were fun, but not really necessary. They already knew what meditation did. They already had empirical evidence of lives changed by the Dharma, their own.
So, when we speak of meditation, in the West, people have quite exotic idea of sitting under a mango tree and sort of, blissing out and having a good time for the rest of the day, like a relaxation thing. Or they often say, when you meditate, you have to blank out all your mind from all thoughts, isn't it? So there's a real misunderstanding about what meditation means.
For most of us, when we think of meditation, and many of us have tried it, everybody from doctors to our churchmen tell us we should check it out. We shut our eyes, we try to stay still, and our minds are just exploding with stuff.
I see. Well, the idea is, usually when we think of calming down the mind and we become aware of what's going on in the mind, we say, wow, there's so many thoughts. There's more than ever. Actually, it's not that there's more than ever. You start to become aware of what's going on in your mind from morning till evening, this whirlpool of thoughts. Because your mind is like a spoiled brat. It's constantly moving here and there, thinking of ruminating the past, imagining the future, never in the present moment. So try to focus your mind. And we say it's like the butterfly. The butterfly stays on the flower. Then it sort of goes away for no reason, then comes back. So it's okay you will be distracted, but you should bring back your mind. And so meditation will help you to become the master of your mind. And master of the mind is not the absence of freedom. Sometimes people think that, I'm going to control my mind. I'm sort of reducing my freedom. Take the example of the sailor at sea. What is the freedom? To let the boat drift wherever the currents and the wind blow? That's not freedom, that's drifting. Real freedom is to take the helm and navigate where you have chosen to go. That's freedom. So if you're in charge of your own mind, that's freedom.
The 11th century Tibetan yogi, Milarepa, said, "Take refuge in the solitude of the barren mountains, the snows or forests. In the wilderness cave, you have an open market where you can barter samsara for nirvana."
How old is she?
I think she's in her 80s because she was...
80, yes, 84. Well, not the one from yesterday. So
No.
I mean...
To pursue the Dharma, the aspiring Buddhist needs to take refuge, go into retreat, and meditate. Behind this door lives Tetsun Ani. She is a nun who has been in solitary retreat for 45 years, never leaving the confines of this simple hut. She has distilled her entire religious practice to 3 simple mantras, prayers for the welfare of all sentient beings, recited again